When telling the time, Sandra, there are several things to keep in mind. For example, the question is, what time is it? What time is it? We always talk about the time in singular. That is, we say, it is 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 12 o'clock. It is 12 o'clock. Whereas in Spanish, you would say, son las dos. Es la una, pero son las dos. But in English, no, it is.
That's right.
Another question you can ask is, do you have the time? Or more commonly, I think, have you got the time? Excuse me, have you got the time?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean tienes tiempo para hacer algo. No, tienes la hora. Do you have the time?
Mm-hmm.
The time. It's
the
important
time.
there. Huh?
All
Have
right.
you got the time? To say, a la hora en punto, we say sharp. 4 o'clock. Be there at 4 o'clock, sharp.
All right.
A las 4 en punto.
You can also say on the dot.
4 o'clock on the dot.
En el punto.
En el punto.
Mm-hmm. On the dot.
I would say sharp, I think.
I would say on the dot.
Really?
Yeah, but I've heard both.
Okay. For the first 30 minutes, we say past the hour. 5 past, 10 past, quarter past. A cuarto, we don't normally say 15 past.
That's right.
Quarter past, 20, 25 past, and half past. So again, we don't normally say 30 minutes past.
Nope.
Although, for example, on the radio in the United States, you can hear the DJ say 30 past the hour. But normally, no. Normally, we just say half past.
Oh.
But after that moment, after 30 minutes, we start saying to the next hour. For example, las 6 menos 25 would be
25 to
6. 25 to 6.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's where I think the most common error occurs, Sandra. A lot of times, Spanish people say 40 minutes past 6.
Yeah, I've heard that
Or
before.
45 minutes past 3.
Yeah.
No, so after 30, after half, we say to the next hour. And the same rules apply as far as quarter to. We don't usually say 15 to 7. We say quarter to 7.
Mm-hmm.
Also notice, Sandra, that with time, the preposition is at. The show starts at 7:30. Sandra, what time do you normally get here?
I normally get here at 7 on the dot.
On the dot, okay. And I usually get here a few minutes after you.
That's right.
What time do we finish the weird news section?
Well, we usually finish the weird news section at approximately 20 to 8.
20 to 8, okay. What time does Harvey get here?
Harvey gets here. It depends. You know, every day he gets here at a different time. But, for example, this morning he got here at 20 past 7.
20 past 7. He normally gets here at about 6:30. You know, Sandra, thanks to digital watches. Do you know something sad, in my opinion?
What?
Algo un poco triste. I have small cousins that can't read a traditional clock.
Really?
They have grown. They're young, and they have grown up in the digital age, and they don't know how to tell time with a traditional clock.
No way.
That's incredible. It's crazy. But thanks to digitals, we often say las 5:15, 5:15. Las 8 menos 5, 7:55. So a lot of times now we read the time as a digital number, the digital reading.
Yep.
So las 8:22 minutos could be, in the classical sense, 22 past 8. But a lot of people will say 8:22.
Yeah, and it sounds perfectly fine.
Okay. At 12 p.m., we often say noon.
El mediodía, las 12 del mediodía.
It's noon. And in fact, afternoon, la tarde in English, is literalmente después de las 12. So the afternoon in English begins at 12:01 p.m.
A las 12:01 empieza.
Not when you've eaten lunch.
That's right.
You know, many times in Spain, I will say, buenas tardes, y tarde para ti que no he comido todavía. So in English, the afternoon doesn't begin after lunch. It begins after noon. Have you ever heard the saying, only mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the noonday sun?
I've heard that, and I would also add my crazy husband,
Right.
who likes to jog.
He's not English, though.
No, but he likes to jog in Texas at noon.
At noon.
Which is crazy.
And 12 a.m. is also called?
At midnight. Midnight. Medianoche. 12 a.m.
It's after midnight. When does Bar Rafa in Aldea de Chepa open?
Bar Rafa opens at around 7 a.m.
Mm-hmm. And when does the first bus leave Aldea de Chepa to come to Madrid?
Well, the first bus leaves at 6:15 or 6:15, and then they leave every 15 minutes or so.
So at 1/4 past, 1:45, 1:45, and on the hour.
Mm-hmm.
So the buses leave on the hour?
On the hour, every hour.
Okay. Does the church bell chime at midnight? Suena la campana de la iglesia. Does the church bell chime at midnight?
Yes, it does. It chimes at every hour, exactly. Or
you know,
all day.
Where I live, it chimes every 15 minutes.
Really?
Yep. So 1/4, it chimes once.
Mm-hmm.
1/2, it chimes twice. 1:45, it chimes
3 times.
Correct. And on the hour, it chimes, well, whatever the hour is.
So do you get used to it? ¿Te
I'm
acostumbras?
totally used to it.
Okay.
It took me a little while, but now it doesn't even wake me up.
Wow.
What time do most restaurants in Spain open for lunch?
I think they usually open at around 1:30.
And when do they stop serving lunch? What time do they stop serving lunch?
Maybe they stop serving lunch at 3:30 or 4.
What about dinner? When do most Spanish restaurants open for dinner?
They usually open for dinner at around 8:30 or 9 p.m.
Mm-hmm. All right. What's the latest you could probably order your dinner in a Spanish restaurant? 11, 11:30?
Or maybe even later. I've had dinner closer to midnight.
All right. What about in France?
In France, things are different. In fact, I couldn't get served after 9 in France. Mm-hmm. So they stopped serving meals at 9 p.m.
So, Sandra, we said there are 2 ways to tell the time. Mm-hmm. You could say 9:05.
Yeah.
That's 9:05. And what's the other way?
9:05.
9:05, exactly. So if there's a 0 there, if you're using the digital method, it would be 9:05. Mm-hmm. You know, Sandra, in the U.S., we don't normally use 24-hour time.
That's right.
22 a las 22 horas a las 22:30. We don't usually use that. In fact, we call it military time in the United States because it's only used in the Army, etc.
Yeah.
It's far more common in the United States to say, instead of saying las 17 horas, to say 5 p.m. If you want to distinguish, if it's necessary to distinguish between morning and afternoon, we would say a.m. and p.m.
That's right.
But just in case, a las 4 de la mañana with 24-hour time would be 0400.
That's right. And do they say 0400 hours or?
Yeah, you could.
But I only know this from the movies.
0400.
I never use the military
A
time.
las 11 would be 1100.
Wow.
And las 9:50 would be 2150.
All right.
All right. So if it's from 1 to 9, we say 0900. 0100 a la 1 de la mañana. 0100. So, Sandra, I'll ask you some more questions, and you answer however you feel most comfortable.
All right.
All right. So you can use any system you want.
I'm ready.
Give me the answer, the most natural-sounding answer.
Okay.
What time does your mailman come?
I think
It is a man, isn't it? It's not a woman.
it's a man most of the time. I think
Wait, it's the same person, or sometimes it's a woman?
he's a transvestite.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. Well, my mailman usually comes at around noon.
Okay. What time do your garbage men come? We know when my garbage men come.
Okay, I have a problem with the garbage men in Aldea de Chepa because they come whenever I am behind them. So if I get home at 7:15 p.m., they are in front of me. And if I get home at 2 a.m. in the morning, 2 a.m., they are also in front of me. So they come at very different times.
All right. What's the earliest you've ever gotten up?
Oof. The earliest I've ever gotten up, I think, was maybe 4 a.m.
This summer, when my father took me to the airport to come back to Spain, it might be the earliest I've ever gotten up. I got up at 4:30.
Ooh.
And I can't remember ever having gotten up before 4:30.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
I'd rather go to bed at 4:30 than get up at 4:30.
Weren't you telling me your brother-in-law is a bread delivery man and he wakes up at 2:30?
Yep.
In the morning?
Yep. He starts. Well, I think he starts at 2:30. He probably wakes up at about 2.
Wow.
What's the ideal time for you to get up? If you could get up at any time.
If I could get up at any time, okay, on a normal day, 9 a.m. is a good time. I like 9 a.m. It's perfect.
What time do Anglo-Saxons usually eat dinner?
Well, in the U.S., people usually eat dinner between 5:30 and 6:30.
All right. I think in England